I bought every single powerlifting bleach lightener that Salon Centric carries so you don't have to, and we're gonna put them to the test. We're gonna try each of these back to back to see which one lifts the best. And if you're new here, my name is Mirella Manelli. I'm a hair educator and salon owner who loves helping hairstylists simplify their skills in business. If you could do me the favor and like this video, subscribe, and share this video with a friend so we can get it to the right people. Now let's get right into this video. So we're gonna try out each of these lighteners on the level 2 swatch, and each of these lighteners that I bought from Salon Centric claim to either have 8 or up to 9 levels of lift, and we're gonna see which one's the best. And just to be fair, across the board, just like in all of my other lightener test videos, we're gonna be using 20 volume developer, and we're gonna be mixing it up at a 1:2 mixing ratio or whatever is recommended by the manufacturer. So what we're gonna be testing is the Loreal Blond Studio 9 Lightening Powder, Redken Flashlift, Pulp Riot Blond AF, Matrix Light Master, Lanza Healing Color Powder Decolorizer, and the Lanza Healing Blonde Ultra Blonding Decolorizer. Now, if you don't see your lightener in this lineup, make sure you check out my other 2 videos, part 1 and part 2 of the best lighteners that are carried at Cosmoprof. You can find them in the description down below. So first up is the L'Oreal Blond Studio 9 Lightening Powder that retails for $26.67 for a 17.6 ounce container. This is a powder that's going to give you up to 9 levels of lift and an even tone with optimal neutralization. Some features and benefits is that it can give you visible lift in just 10 minutes, even on the darkest hair. It has unlimited creativity by providing a powder lightener that can be used to achieve any technique. This lightener is to exclusively be partnered with Blond Studio 9 Oil Developer to smooth the hair cuticle, boost the lightener performance, and provide a creamy texture for optimal mixing and application. So I've actually never used this lightener, but it came highly recommended by many of you on my previous YouTube videos. So let's go ahead and open this one up. Okay, we're just gonna leave that there because I can't get it off. This must be some dangerous stuff because you can't like get in there. Oh, that's cool. So I already love the packaging so far because it tells you exactly how to mix it right here on the lid, which is really convenient. Yay, scooper. And we got a little baggie. Now it looks like this bag, I don't know, there's some like lighteners kind of floating around in there, which is kind of questionable. I'm wondering if this was previously opened, and it looks like it has been previously opened. So this is a very fine powder. I already feel like I need to sneeze a little bit. So it definitely has a really beautiful blue color. I really like it, but it's very, very dusty. Now this one did not claim any type of like dust free or de-dusted anything on its claims, but let's go ahead and do the sniff test. I don't smell anything, but I'm also kind of afraid to smell because this is a pretty fine powder. I can already kind of feel it on my hands. So let's go ahead and mix this one up. So there are lots of different options with the mixing ratio, but what was really interesting about this lightener is that it is highly recommending to not exceed 20 volume on the scalp area. So that is just a big no-no, but it's giving you lots of different mixing ratios based on balayage, foil application, and on scalp. However, if you're doing any balayage or off scalp application, foil application, you can use up to 30 volume. And for foil application specifically, you can do 1:2 or a 1:3 mixing ratio, but for this test we're going to be doing a 1:2, and let's go ahead and mix this up. So I have my scale here, and we're just going to add in, well, we got about 10 grams there. Before I put the developer in, let's go ahead and feel what this feels like. Definitely like the finest type of sand that you could possibly think of. That's what I'm kind of gathering from this one. So we're going to go ahead and put 20 grams of our developer. Ooh, this one's kind of like a little squeezy tube, which is kind of cool. I always like developers like that. So yeah, this is really thick lightener. I already love this developer. You can definitely see how thick of a developer this is. This has a lot of conditioners, buffers, and it's oil enriched. So I do like those qualities in a developer. I feel like developer can make or break how the hair actually feels. I think we put too much emphasis on the actual powder itself. So this is mixing up really beautifully. I really like this viscosity. I like how thick this is. So let's go ahead and get this on swatch, and then we'll do the brush test. This is going to give me really great precision. I love how this feels on my brush. So let's go ahead and put this on. Now, I will say, I just read something on this packaging. It says to only use aluminum foil. That's recommended by L'Oreal, which was really interesting. So I don't know where exactly I'd find that information. I don't know if that's going to be on their website or what. So I thought that was kind of interesting because most stylists aren't going to necessarily do the research to find out what type of foil they should be using. So I'm using Framour foil. I don't know if that's the right kind of foil. So if you happen to know if this foil is approved by L'Oreal, please let me know. But so far I'm liking how this feels. This is really creamy. I can feel like that oil that it's talking about on the developer. It definitely feels really hydrated. Pretty easy to move this through. The other call out for this lightener is that you cannot exceed 50 minutes of processing time. All right, so now we're just gonna go ahead and let this one process. So it's been 50 minutes and I'm ready to take a little peek. But first, I just kind of wanted to show you guys like what was in the bowl, because a lot of you guys in the last videos have asked what the swell factor was, and I just wanted to show you there isn't very much swell factor with this one. It's very, very minimal. Like there was a 5% swell, and overall the foil feels really nice. So let's go ahead and take a little peek. Okay, so this one, I feel like it's playing a trick on me because we got the blue here. But as I'm wiping this away, it looks like it got pretty light on the ends. But again, that blue pigment in that lightener definitely plays a trick on your eye. However, this does feel really nice. It feels really hydrating. So I'm excited to go ahead and wash this one off. Now that this swatch is completely washed out, I really do love the amount of lift we got. It doesn't look like it's a level 9, but we definitely will measure it up to the level finder in just a second. Overall, I really love how this feels. I feel like it's hydrated and we got a nice even lift at that. You know, going from a level 2 to this light of a shade looks pretty great, but let's go ahead and measure this up to the level finder. So overall, I think we got like a really solid level 8 with this lift. So from a 2 to an 8, we didn't quite get that 9 levels of lift. However, the integrity feels really great with this one and I'm really impressed. And I do like a level 8 or higher because a level 8 is going to give us the best control overall. It doesn't have a lot of orange pigment, minimal orange pigment to control, but you know, ideally we would love a level 9 or even a 10 to tone with. So overall, I do think this is a really great lightener. I can see the versatility in it. I do like the lift that it gave me. I do like the integrity that it left the hair in. I think this is a lightener that I definitely could play around with a little bit more. And even though it didn't give us the 9 levels of lift with the 20 volume, I'm definitely interested in playing a little bit more around with this one with the different volumes of developer and different mixing ratios just to see what we can get out of this lightener. I definitely think this would be something that I would add to my arsenal. So let's do the next lightener. Next up is the Redken Flashlift Blonde Idol at $21.59 for a 16.9 ounce container. Now this is Redken's first ever bleach lightener that's going to give you up to 8 levels of lift, and you can actually mix this with any of the Pro Oxide developers 10 through 40. Some key features and benefits is that it's going to give you up to 8 levels of lift. It's going to provide 20% faster processing time versus up to 7. Contains Conditioning Pro Vitamin B5 for high lift without sacrificing hair quality. Customizable for every client's needs, from extreme blonde results to edgy or dramatic highlights. Now let's go ahead and open this up. So I am an OG Redken girly. I've been using Redken since I first started my career. So I'm pretty familiar with Flashlift. However, it's been probably a decade since I've used it. I literally can't open this. Yeah, I'm gonna need some help. I got nails. So surprise, surprise, this packaging is very similar to the L'Oreal 9 lightener, and that's because this is a L'Oreal brand. So let's go ahead and see what's inside. Got a little scooper. We got our little baggy, clean container in here. We're gonna go ahead and dump out the contents. I feel like overall, and I don't know if it's because I'm an OG hairstylist, but I like when there's a bag. Okay, so we can see that it has a really pretty like pale blue color to it. So let's go ahead and do the dust test. Not too much dust going on. A little bit, but not a lot. Now, like I said, I've used this in the past, but I'm sure it's been reformulated and changed. Can't really smell too much. I don't know what it smells. I don't smell anything really, to be honest. So I'm excited to mix this up and give it another go. So the way you mix this up is either at a 1:1 or a 1:2, depending if you're doing on or off scalp. They recommend that if you're doing on scalp, you're doing a 1:2 mixing ratio, and for off scalp, you can do 1:1 or 1:2. But for this test, we're going to be doing at a 1:2 mixing ratio. So let's go ahead and put this in the bowl. And I don't know, this kind of feels pretty similar from what I remember Flashlift feeling like. Definitely kind of sandy like L'Oreal Blonde. Very, very similar, slightly more coarser. But let's go ahead and put in its dedicated developer of 20 volume. Okay, so far I'm not really liking how it's feeling. This might be another one where you gotta let it thicken up while you're getting your tray ready, and I can already kind of see actually it's changing before my eyes. So let's go ahead and get this on. So let's do this brush test. Not bad. I really do like this so far as the viscosity goes. Okay, now I can smell it. This is giving me memories. If you're a hairstylist, you know. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this on. So this lightener tells you to process this at room temperature, absolutely no heat whatsoever. I'm kind of liking it. The unique thing about this lightener though is that I read you can put this in a bottle at the 1:2 mixing ratio, which was kind of interested in maybe trying that. If you think that's something you want me to try, let me know down below in the comments. One thing I will add about the Redken Flashlift is that it was a good, dependable lightener, but I'm excited to see how this does now that I've had a lot more experience in using multiple different lighteners and just see, you know, how it truly performs. And now we wait. So it's been 15 minutes, but I'm gonna show you the little bit of swell factor that I got out of this bowl. Now this one did swell, but because I didn't have too much lightener left over, it's really hard to tell, but it's definitely a very airy consistency. So we definitely got like minimal swelling with this one. Nothing super crazy though. It didn't like puff up terribly, but it does feel like, you know, like you could almost kind of pop it a little bit. So yeah, it does feel a little slightly puffy, but nothing crazy. Like it's nothing that I feel like would be alarming. So let's go ahead and take a little peek. Wow. I mean, this one didn't have as much blue pigment as some of the other lighteners, so this is really nice. Like, I feel like I can see exactly what it's doing. So far, it looks like we got a really great even lift. I can't say that it feels really hydrating. It doesn't feel dehydrated either, but it'll be exciting to see how this lifts and washes out. Now that Redken's done processing, we've got a pretty good amount of lift. I mean, it's a overall pretty reliable lightener like I've used in the past. And overall the integrity is kind of like middle of the road for me. Definitely not as soft as the Blonde 9 from L'Oreal. Let's go ahead and measure this up to the level finder. So after kind of like measuring this up to the level finder, I definitely think that we got pretty solid level 8. It does look like almost slightly a little darker than an 8, like the very tiniest bit, but I'm just gonna go with a solid level 8 with this one. Did not give us that strong 8 levels that it was promising, but overall I do think that it gave us a good canvas to work with, something to neutralize with, something that I can probably play around with. Now I have used this lightener in the past. I'm pretty familiar with it. Would I use it again? Yes. Are there other lighteners that might be a little stronger than this? Probably out in the market. Overall, I do think this is a really good one. Would I add it to my arsenal? Maybe, maybe not. I kind of want to play around with it a little bit more. Now let's go on to the next one. Next up is the Pulp Riot Blonde AF that retails for $28.26 for a 17.6 ounce bag. Now this lightener is going to give you plenty of different application options. It's great for in foil, it's gentle on the scalp, and it's great for hair painting techniques that are going to give you up to 9 levels of lift. Some key features and benefits is that the blue color is going to have a slight toning property that helps during the lifting process. It does not expand or swell in the foil. The protein protects and nourishes the hair follicles from within, and it prevents existing split ends from getting worse by passing through the cuticle. It has 9 essential amino acids that act as natural strengtheners, repairing damaged hair and promoting hair growth. Rich in vitamin C with quinoa that balances the production of natural oils to keep strands properly properly moisturize and reduce breakage due to tangling. So now let's go ahead and open this up. Now I have used this lightener one time when it first launched. I honestly can't really remember it, so I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I do like packaging like this as well. Little downside about this type of packaging is I don't like that you have to like snappy snap this. I kind of liked the Goldwell lightener when it had the little zip tie. Like that was so cool. I think I'm getting immune to smell. Like literally none of these lighteners had a strong fragrance, which is really interesting, but I kind of don't smell anything yet. There is a little scooper in here, so yay. So let's go ahead and do the dust test. So it does have that blue color and definitely major dust. So even with that little dust test, I actually still couldn't smell any fragrance. I'm starting to think my nasal passages are a little damaged. It is giving you different mixing ratios based on how thick or thin you want your lightener. So overall the viscosity, but for this test, we are gonna do a 1 to 2. Now the big call out for this lightener was that you had to use its dedicated developer for best results. You already know that that's what I think anyways, and I do think it is important to use the corresponding developer. That's the best way you're really gonna see the best results from any of the claims that any product's gonna give you. So we have about 10 grams of lightener in here, so we're gonna go ahead and put 20 grams of our developer. And this is another really thick light or developer. So this one feels pretty similar to the Redken Flashlift, although I don't know, it's giving me like fine sand mixed with powdered sugar vibes. All right, this is really thick actually how this is mixing up. And this is a 1 to 2, so I'm kind of like surprised here. I'm really curious about the no swelling claim because that's like the biggest complaint from most stylists is that the swell factor can make your foils bleed. So if that's the case, that would be super cool because then you can have ultimate precision with exactly where you place it. You know it's going to lighten in that exact area and you don't have to worry about it so much. So this is pretty thick. I don't even know if we have to do the brush test, but we'll do the brush test. So already this is probably like the thickest lightener I have ever mixed up at a 1 to 2. It's pretty intense. I'm not sure if I would even mix this up at a 1 to 1, but I'm kind of curious what a 1 to 1 would actually feel like. That's pretty crazy. So let's go ahead and put this on. I'm hoping that I will like this because this is some thick ass lightener, like definitely super ultra thin sections if you're going to use this one, because it's not even really letting me open up the hair. Like the way that I like to work in thick sections and I like to make sure that I'm properly saturating, but this one's making it a little difficult to move that hair open. Now there was not a processing time for this lightener. It just said to check it every 5 minutes to see when it was done. So for that reason, we're gonna go the max processing time, which most lighteners on the market will tell you do not exceed, and that is 60 minutes. I feel like this should be called thick AF. Not blonde AF. Now we're gonna go ahead and let this one process. So now that it's been 60 minutes, let's see if we got any swelling factor, and I can't say we got any real swelling from this lightener. It doesn't feel like puffy clouds, but let's go ahead and feel this one. It does feel like slightly puffy, but nothing, no, maybe a little bit. I don't know. I think it's that blue. The blue tones just play a trick on your eye. It's like you have to like wipe it clean. See? And then like you take it off and then it's like, oh, I don't know. This is another one where I gotta wash it off and see what it's gonna look like. So that could be kind of like a negative for me just because I want to see exactly what the hair is going to look like as soon as it's done processing, so I don't have to wash it off and then wish I would have left it on a little longer. But you know, I think after using it a little bit of time, sometimes you just know how things work and then they work for you. But let's go ahead and wash this one out. Now this is all done processing. I think we got a really great lift, very similar to the Redken lift. Like it looks like an 8, maybe a little darker, but we're gonna test it up to the level finder in just a second. Overall, it feels like a good general lightener. I can't say that it feels super hydrated, but it also doesn't feel super dry either. But let's see what this looks like next to the level finder. So now that I'm sizing this up next to the level finder, I do think we got a pretty close level 8. 8. I do think it's slightly darker than an 8. I can't say that it's exactly an 8, but we're just going to round up to the 8 because that's how close it is. I do think that we got a pretty good lift. Now, again, this is a pretty good level of lift that we got out of this. I think I was looking for something a little bit more wow factor out of the Pulp Riot just because it is a line that was founded on Vivids. So I was expecting it to give me a little bit more oomph just because with Vivids, you a lot of times need something to push through to that 9 levels of lift. So, you know, overall, it did a pretty good job, just not really what I was expecting out of it. And maybe I was just having too high of expectations for Pulp Riot, but overall good lift. I think that we can definitely neutralize this, enhance it, do all the things that we need to do. Would I add this to my arsenal? I'm not really sure, but overall, I do think we got, you know, from a 2 to an 8 pretty nicely and evenly. I think that I might skip this one. Next up is Matrix Lightmaster that retails for $19.99 for a 16-ounce tub. So this lightener is going to provide you up to 8 levels of lift and give you a variety of options for application. Some key features and benefits is that it's ideal for foil application, on scalp, freehand techniques, and really all lightening techniques. It's also ideal for all levels, textures, and hair patterns, and it's compatible and enhanced with Lightmaster oil and freehand additives. I don't know what that means, but we're gonna find out. Now we're gonna go ahead and open this up. So little confession, I have used this a handful of times, and the last time I used it was actually at a Matrix event that I was invited to, and we got to do a bunch of models, which was super fun. So we got a little scoopy scoop and a bag. So you can kind of see this theme with a lot of the Loreal lighteners are all kind of similar in how they're packaged, like similar packaging, same bag, almost same kind of scooper. So again, I can't really smell anything. That's so crazy. I'm literally gonna have to smell some other things and see if my nose is still working, but I don't smell anything. So let's go ahead and do the little dust test. Now this does have like a really pale blue powder to it. Not much dust. It's kind of like reminding me a little bit of the Redken Flashlift. Very, very light fragrance, nothing offensive. So let's go ahead and mix this one up. Now, when it comes to the mixing ratios, this was hands down the most confusing thing I've ever read on the back of this container. So Matrix, if you're listening, I definitely think we need to redo a little bit of this. And I had to write this down just so you guys can see exactly what's on the back here. We're mixing grams and ounces together, which I think for a lot of hairstyles, that can be really confusing. I think we just need to stick with grams across the board or ounces across the board. But for on-scalp application, you can do 15 grams to 1 ounce of your 20 or 30 vol, which translates to around 28 point something in grams. Off scalp, 15 grams or 1 level scoop to 0.76 ounces of your 30 or 40 volume, or 15 grams to 1 ounce of your developer. And then for balayage, you would do 15 grams of powder to a 1/2 ounce of developer. So for this test, we're basically going to do a 1-to-2 mixing ratio because it is saying for off scalp, you can do 15 grams to 1 ounce, which again translates to 28 point something. So we're just gonna round up to the 30 grams of developer. And yeah, so that's like a 1-to-2. So let's see if this truly is 15 grams with a level scoop. That's gonna be a test. Pretty close. Oh, no, it's 15. It took a minute for it to level out. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what this feels like. So again, pretty similar to the Redken Flashlift. Now that we have 15 grams in our bowl, we're gonna mix up our developer. So let's go ahead and see how this mixes up. This is literally giving me Redken Flashlift here. It's like literally almost the same. It's really thin. So viscosity wise, it's okay. I think it just needs to like thicken up a little bit. So let's go ahead and do the brush test. So the brush test is giving me pretty nice viscosity. The precision's gonna be great, but let's go ahead and see how this applies. Now, another call out for this lightener specifically is much like the Blond 9 L'Oreal lightener, is that this one is saying to use only a specific type of foil. So I don't know if this foil, frame mark foil, is approved by Matrix, but I guess we shall find out. Now this says absolutely no heat and you can process this up to 50 minutes. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're gonna go ahead and close this one up. So it's been 50 minutes for Matrix. I do feel a little bit of a swelly swell factor here. As far as like what's in the bowl, it did swell up a little bit, but not terribly. Like it has a little bit of airiness to it, and you'll be able to see like those little bubbles like right inside here, but overall not super crazy amount of puffy puff action. So definitely something to consider though. So let's take a peek. I know this one's like a favorite amongst a lot of people. So far it looks really good. I mean, this, you know, violet blue kind of cast that it has on it, it's not tricking my eye so much. I feel like I can see what it looks like overall. It does look like a little bit on the warm side for me, and I'm not really feeling too much hydration out of this one, but it doesn't feel rough. So I'm excited to remove this one to see how much lift we got. Now that I've washed out the Matrix, we got a decent lift. It looks kind of like on the dark side of a level 8, but pretty similar to the others that we've tested today. So now that I'm sizing this up to the level finder, it's not quite an 8 and it's not a 7 either. So I'm probably gonna go, God, this one's like really tough because it's literally kind of like almost in the middle. I'm gonna give it a little grace and go with a 7.75. I just was really hopeful that with how popular the Matrix lightener was, that I was gonna get that 9 levels of lift out of this one. It just got me to like not even a solid level 8, and I definitely would want a solid level 8 because this orange tone that I'm seeing in here, this warmth and depth, can really be difficult to neutralize. So for that reason, I probably would take a little pass on this lightener to add to my arsenal. So let's go ahead and test out the next one. Up next is the Lanza Healing Color Powder Decolorizer that comes in at $30.02 for a 16-ounce container. Now this lightener actually came highly recommended by a lot of you. However, I had a really hard time finding out how many levels of lift this one truly had. I couldn't find much on their website as well as Salon Centric or even on this packaging. So let's just go ahead and get right into the key features and benefits. Now this lightener says that it is formulated with violet tones to help control warmth at any stage of lift. It contains keratin healing system to ensure hair integrity during and after the process. It's dust-free and easy to mix for smooth consistency and application. Now let's go ahead and open this up. I actually have never used any Lanza lightener in my life before, so I'm actually really excited to give this one a go. Little scoop, yay. And you know what? Here are the instructions. This is what we probably have been waiting for. So I'm curious if this even says how many levels of lift you can get from this lightener. So unfortunately, this does not say how many levels of lift. However, it does give you the mixing ratios as well as the processing times. So it is informative, but I guess we're gonna find out today exactly how many levels of lift we can truly get with our 20 volume developer. So again, we got all of these like little tubs with little baggies. Oh, so this already feels like a really soft, very fine. Okay, this one definitely has a fragrance to it, so my nose is working. I can definitely smell a little something. It smells like a lightener. Nothing floral or anything out of it too much. So let's go ahead and do the dust test because this said that it was dust free. Now I do see the little slight violet tone in there, which is really nice. And we definitely got a little bit of a dusty dust action there for sure. Now for the mixing ratio, there was 1 across the board. You're gonna do 1:2 mixing ratio for on scalp with 10 or 20 volume, and then for off scalp you can do 1:2 with 10 through 40 volume. So for this test we're gonna just do the 1:2 with our 20 volume dedicated developer. Now the nice thing that I did see on the Lanza packaging is that it gives you grams or ounce options, so that's how it was communicating that. So this one feels really, again, kind of like fine, super fine sand. I really do like how this feels so far. Let's put this developer in. So this is really thick, creamy developer for sure. So far so good. I can see how rich the developer is. It is kind of like on the thin side. However, it is starting to thicken up, much like the others that I've tried today. I can definitely start smelling something, so I can smell like the strength in this one, whereas the others that I've tested today I couldn't really quite smell too much. But I really like the viscosity. Let's go ahead and do the brush test. So now let's see, as far as precision, overall, loving that so far. I feel like this is something that I can work with. Overall, all of the lighteners in this test today have given me a nice indication of precision, like in general. So I feel like for that, A+. So let's go ahead and put this on. Now I definitely feel a little bit of creaminess, but also a little bit of rockiness with this, like again, like that sand kind of feel inside. Now the processing time on this one is up to 60 minutes. You can do 20 to 60 minutes. So just like all lighteners, you want to check them, but I'm really excited to give this one a go and try it. I don't really feel like the violet tone that's formulated inside of this is going to hinder how it's going to look to me when it processes, because sometimes those blues like really play a trick on your eye, but this one, it almost just looks white as I'm applying it. And now we bake. Now that it's been 60 minutes, this Lanza Decolorizer feels a little puffy. We got some major puffing action here. Now let's go ahead and look and see what's in the bowl. It doesn't look that puffy, like it swelled up that much. I mean, there definitely is some, probably a little bit more than the others. You know, what's going on in the foil, totally different reaction. It does feel like a lot. So that could be a little bit of a deterrent for me, but let's go ahead and take a peek and see what's inside. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, this one actually looks like pretty nice. I mean, I can definitely see some lift. I like that this violet tone isn't getting in the way of me seeing, but it does look kind of warm. I don't know, I gotta wash this one out. So looking at this level finder here, definitely giving me 8, but also some 9 vibes, which is pretty impressive with just 20 volume. I'm again pretty shocked here. Looking at this side by side, it's not quite a 9, not quite there. I definitely think we got like an 8.5 with this one. This one's like right in the middle of the road. Pretty impressive for a 20 volume developer. It's very hard for like a lightener to really wow me, and this one definitely did that. Just the integrity is just holy cow. So this is definitely a foundation that I absolutely would love to have every single time, because that level 8, 8.5 even is going to give you that brightness that you really want to achieve out of a lot of blondes, especially a brunette that wants to be blonde. The integrity alone, I keep saying that, but the integrity alone tells me that if I do use something a little higher, the hair is still going to feel pretty amazing. So I hands down would add this one to my arsenal. I'm super excited to play with this one. If you watched my other videos where I use the Framisi, I really feel like it's almost like head to head with that one as far as how this feels. Like, let's move on to the very last lightener. I'm excited to see the results from that one. And last but not least, we're going to be trying out the Lanza Healing Blonde Ultra Blonding Decolorizer. That is a mouthful. And this one retails for $32.86 for a 16-ounce container. So this lightener claims to give you up to 9 levels of lift while keeping blondes healthy and vibrant. Some key features and benefits is that you can achieve up to those 9 levels of lift gently and quickly. It has Healing Blonde that's specifically formulated to ban brassiness and helps prevent hair from breakage. Arginine that helps maintain hair strength and elasticity. Vita C Plex Plus that brightens hair and adds illuminating shine, while cysteine protects and strengthens. Now let's go ahead and open this one up. This is another one I've never tried before, so I'm super excited. I can't quite remember if anybody recommended this one, but I did notice this one on the shelf next to the other Lanza one that was highly recommended. So I'm really curious if this is going to give us even more levels of lift, because this one is ultra, so I just had to get it. Now this is giving me flashbacks to the Pravana with a little pore action, so we'll see. Hopefully we don't get any like dust factor with this one, so we can't really do the dust test until we do the pouring action. I don't know, I'm kind of scared. We'll save the sniff test for when we put it into the bowl. Now the mixing ratios we found online were slightly different than what was found on the packaging. On the Salon Centric website, it did say for on scalp use up to 20 volume, and for off scalp use up to 40. On this packaging though, it just says that it's recommended for on and off scalp 10 through 40. It doesn't really specify, so kind of want to double check that. Now Lanza does have a pro website that you can log in, and I'm sure it gives you tons of more information than what the packaging does. So if you are going to be using any of these professional products and they do have a pro site, I highly recommend that you look into those so you can get more information on exactly how all of them work. This one did not give a 1:2 mixing ratio option, so for that reason this is going to be the only lightener that I am mixing up 1:1, because I'm going to follow manufacturer's instructions. So let's go ahead and see if we get a little dust action here. So I really didn't see any dust that came out of this, so that was kind of surprising. I mean, it smells like lightener, but it's not super strong or offensive, that's for sure. So let's go ahead and pour in this developer. This kind of feels like really fine sandy powder. Overall, for the most part, if you do want the strongest amount of lift, if the brand allows for that 1-to-1 mixing ratio, you are going to get a stronger amount of lift out of that. So this is really, really thick so far. I'm usually not like a 1-to-1 fan just because I don't usually like how thick lighteners are. I think that was kind of like what my hang-up was with the Pulp Riot, I think, was how thick it was. It almost has like a little bit of like fiber action going on. Like it's kind of like sticking together. Yeah, pretty thick. Let's go ahead and do the brush test. So we got a really nice thick viscosity for great precision. So far, I'm really liking this, but let's go ahead and see how this feels as we get this on. So it is pretty thick. Not usually, again, a person that likes super thick lightener. So I think if you are a person that likes to work with really thin sections, this might be the lightener for you. But so far, I'm really liking how this is feeling. It feels really creamy. I just can feel that hydration in this lightener for sure. But now we wait. Now that it's been 60 minutes with the Lanza Ultra Blonding Decolorizer, I don't even know what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. It is feeling a little puffy here. Got a little bit of swelling. Now what we got going on in the bowl is a little bit of swelling too, but nothing super alarming. Like I don't really feel like it's a negative for me. So let's go ahead and take a little peek inside. So this one, playing a little trick on my eye. The blue, you know, factors a little bit of a negative for me. But, you know, like I've said before, if you know how the lightener works, you kind of train your eye to see what you need to see with these blue lighteners. This feels really nice. I'm excited to wash this one out. First impressions, I like the lift we got, 100%. It looks pretty light. However, integrity-wise, I'm not too like crazy about it. I think after feeling the first Lanza one and how smooth it was, I was really expecting almost similar results. So it just doesn't feel as soft. It doesn't even like look as soft as the other one. Overall, looking at this, I feel like we got a similar result to the other Lanza swatch. I definitely think this is like almost a 9, but it's definitely past that 8. Like it's right in between. So I'm gonna go with an 8.5 on this one. I feel like we got a really great lift, got that lightning effect and kind of that magic zone of where we want to really be. Now overall, we got a really great lift based on the 20 volume developer as well as the timing. However, I was expecting a little bit more out of this one just because this was the only one that was at a 1-to-1 mixing ratio. So I was really hopeful that this was going to blow me away. Now, would I add this to my arsenal? Probably not, just because of the integrity. I just was really hoping that I was going to get that same feel from the first Lanza lightener. From just this test swatch, I probably won't add it to my arsenal. Now that the test is complete and we have all of these lined up, there were some that epically failed and some that definitely passed a test that I want to try out more. Now, my overall thoughts on these swatches is what I found is that the Redken, the Loreal, the Pulp Riot, they all kind of lifted really similarly. They're kind of the same. We got a pretty close level 8, maybe a little below a level 8 on some of them, but overall a really solid level 8 of a lift. And integrity wise, they all kind of were about the same. Now, when it came to the Matrix lightener, that one gave us the least amount of lift. I was really hoping we're going to get a little bit more out of that lightener because it was a really popular one. Now, the ones that really impressed me when it came to the amount of lift, definitely both of the Lanzas did extraordinarily well. Now, when it came to integrity, there were 2 that stood out, and that was the Loreal Blond Studio 9 and the Lanza Healing Color Decolorizer. Now, when it came to the swell factor, a lot of you guys wanted to know that from my previous videos, and I didn't really feel like any of these swelled up a lot, so that wasn't even necessarily like a factor in this particular test this go round, but it's definitely something I'll be considering for my future videos. Obviously, when you're doing any lightening service behind the chair, there are other factors to consider, like mixing ratio, saturation, the canvas you're working on, and as well as the heat source, meaning our heat that comes from our bodies. That's going to help the processing time and even the lifting process a little bit more. So lots of different variations in the results that you can achieve in the salon, but overall, learn the rules before you break them. Now, my overall pick when it comes to integrity and lift is the Lanza Healing Color Powder Decolorizer. The integrity completely blew me away. I mean, that is a huge plus for me when it comes to lightening, but also we got a little past that level 8. So that was really great that we were able to achieve that with a 20 volume developer. Now, if you're surprised by the results or if there's a lightener that you would like me to try, please let me know down below in the comments. And if you like videos like these, make sure you hit that subscribe button and share this video with a friend so we can get these videos to the right people. So make sure you share it with a hair bestie. If you want to find more free education, find all the ways on how you can work with me, head on over to my website, mirellamanelli.com, and launching really soon, Airbnb University, where confidence behind the chair starts right here. I would love to see you sign up. And like always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.